Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, back from my little 5-day hiatus here, buying a new car, got stuck in a blizzard. It was an absolute show. But we're here and we're back and we're talking about gold today. Gold is almost at $5,500 an ounce. It's at 54.4780 as the markets have closed. And it's only looking like it's going to rise higher and higher until eventually this whole fucking system implodes. And I think that there's a lot of evidence and reasoning behind this to assert that claim, in that gold is going absolutely parabolic, and what goes up must come down. And so let's take a quick little history detour here. Talk a little bit about why it is that gold is probably a worthwhile investment, but also a relatively terrifying one in the sense that it's not necessarily that gold is more inherently valuable. And even if it is, right, people, value gold in times of, economic crises. And so, yeah, it has a little bit more value there. But also, too, it could just be that the dollar is becoming devalued. And so really, if you had, let's say, a $1,000 U.S. gold coin, right? $1,000 worth of gold. And over time that, goes up to, let's say, $2,000. Well, sure, maybe, 70% of that is the gold was just valued more. But there's still going to be that percentage. Maybe it's 30% or whatever percent it is going to be from the dollar becoming devalued. And I think we can see that around our society. I mean, everything costs more. Anybody with a brain knows that. And in fact, one of the things that I found relatively interesting was the Kamala Harris campaign, who said constantly that the economy was great. It was wonderful. It was the best thing since sliced bread. When in reality, the people know. The people can see that all these people who like to talk and say, well, things are better than they actually seem. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit because everybody knows it's bullshit. I mean, they don't have to. It doesn't take a fucking scientist to fucking logically understand, right? That you keep putting more money in but getting less things out. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just the way that it is. And I even remember back too when we had who was it? The Nostradamus of election polling, and he said, "Okay, well, is the economy in good shape?" And again, this is over a year ago now, and he said that it was. And because the economy was in good shape, that was like another checkbox towards the incumbent, which was obviously Joe Biden, which would therefore fall on Kamala Harris. It's like, but dude, you're just blind. You don't know what you're talking about right now. Because in what world does gold rise from $2,000 less than 2 years ago all the way up to $5,400? In what world is that the case? Well, I'll tell you what, it's not any logical world. It's not any rational world. It's not a world where the money is doing well, because if it was doing well, then people would be flocking to gold. And one of the things that's always funny to me is that everybody always likes to say that, well, the central banks, all of these, these financial institutions, I should say, are diversifying their portfolio. It's like, well, what does diversifying your portfolio means? It means that you're running away from the U.S. dollar, but we just don't call it that. Right? Instead, they're going to be buying gold. 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 They're going to be buying silver. And that ramps the price up. And so, look, I mean, there's more demand for something, but there's not as much of it. Now, all of a sudden, the price rises. Basic supply and demand here, people. And in fact, it also is a nice indicator that the dollar is not being valued as much, not being trusted as much. Right? If you had to put your money in gold right now, if you had to put your money in the dollar, which one are you going to put it in? Well, I think anybody with a brain is probably going to put their money in gold as opposed to the dollar. Now, maybe right now that's an exception in that it's going so parabolic that at some point here it has to crash. But the point remains that things are not looking good. And I think a lot of this, again, it points to a scary issue here, which is that our currency has probably been so inflated now to the point of where people are actually starting to notice. And people who weren't talking about it years ago are now finally starting to wake up a little bit. And they're like, damn, like, what's this gold thing going on? Why is this happening? And maybe none of us have the perfect answer, but we have somewhat of an idea here. And, I would argue personally, it's like, look, the United States government's a Ponzi scheme, right? Imagine this, right? You're the government. You want to pay for things. You want to spend $1,000 a year. Well, you don't have $1,000 a year. So what do? All right, you start printing some money. But you're not going to print all of it. Instead, you're going to borrow some of it. You say, okay, cool, I got to borrow some money. It's like, well, people that you're borrowing from, they're not going to want that for free. And so you're going to have to pay them, right? Sell them a U.S. Treasury and pay them 3% interest or whatever. And they're going to demand that every year. And maybe, after 20 years or whatever, they get a lot of money for it. But they're going to keep calling back those, right? And we have to keep paying that. In order to pay that, we have to keep printing more money. And not only just printing more money, we also have to sell even more of our treasuries, our bonds. And the system repeats itself over and over again, right? In order to pay off the existing debt, you have to accrue more debt, and that you have to find even more people to pay it off. Now, that's the essence of a Ponzi scheme, and that's the United States government. And so, how do you beat a system like that? Well, a couple things here is, one, we should probably move to a system where our money is not completely worthless. It's not based on trust. It's not based on anything like that. It's not based on just pure perception alone, because then the currency over time, as we lose global influence, and because other countries become more modernized, and there's a little bit less conflicts in the world, and imperialism's looked down upon these days. Your status as a global reserve currency or a global reserve asset starts to go down the toilet a little bit. I believe in 1999, the U.S. dollar was way, way, way higher. It was at 71%, right, in terms of global reserves, in terms of share of the global reserves, and now it's 58%, right? And by the way, gold is number 2, and so that's bad, right? And gold is at roughly 20% now, and that's terrifying to me. That's very, very terrifying. And the numbers vary a little bit. Some people say it's a little bit higher and some people say it's a little bit lower. Whether it's 18%, whether that's high range 30%. Either way, it you know what I'm saying? It's getting more share, and it always makes me wonder. Will we ever go back to a system whereby we have to rely on precious metals? Because at least your money's based in something. At least it's based in something, and even if that system's not perfect, it's probably better than the system that we have. At least, I don't know. At least that's what I say. And I look at it this way, right? If you had 4 quarters, you have 4 quarters, and each quarter contains some silver in it. Nowadays, that silver is like $100. You could have 4 quarters in your pocket from 1964 quarters. That's like $100 in your pocket, right? Today, what does that get you? Not even a candy bar. You can't even buy a candy bar for $1 anymore. You have to, you probably get just like some just basic candy, like some like random piece of like one piece of hard candy. Yeah, like this is a bad situation, guys, and it's a situation that I don't necessarily see fixing itself. And like gold is relatively weird because it's like, how does it not just keep going up? There's no indication that it's gonna fall. Having said that, things also don't just go parabolic and then randomly, and just keep going up forever. If we have this president for the next 3 years and things are, relatively at this level of insanity, what is it just gonna keep going up for 3 years? Are we gonna see what those lunatics on various social media platforms who I said were absolutely batshit crazy? Are their dreams going to come to fruition? Are we going to see like that $10,000 gold by the end of this Trump presidency? Who knows? I don't know, but I certainly didn't expect this, and nor can I say for certain what the future holds. But it probably isn't good. It's probably not good. At some point, this just has to crash. It has to. I mean, you can't rise this much and maintain these levels forever, because that's what everybody thought historically. Everybody always thought that, right? You go back to 1980, people thought, this is gonna, we're gonna ride the wave here. It's like, well, you lost everything, right? People who were leveraged at the top, you lose everything, and then take you, till now to make your money back. Not even, right? I mean, it's just, you'll never make it back, and you'll lose money in the process because, again, you could have invested it elsewhere. People would say, oh, well, back in 2011, right? Things start to spike a little bit. It's like, well, dude, like, we had to wait a while. We had to wait 15 years for this to go back up. But, the fact of the matter remains is it fell down, and it doesn't last there forever. So we take advantage of it while we can, and we make the most out of it, and we be very, very cautious of the U.S. dollar, something that probably won't necessarily have its dominance in the next 30 years. Maybe. But if this current trend is any indication of its future, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good at all. And especially when you have other countries too, which I think personally, one of the best decisions that the BRICS countries could have done would have been to release a currency when Trump took office. I think that would have been a very, very wise move. And in fact, it maybe could be a wise move right now. But of course, they would have to buy a lot more precious metals. It doesn't seem like they're doing that right now. To my knowledge, I believe even Russia's like trying to get away from some just so they can go fund the Ukraine war. So, rational decisions aren't necessarily always going to be made. I remember BRICS was all the talk years ago. It's like nowadays nobody really talks about it anymore. But these are interesting conversations, and they're conversations that need to be had because we live in strange times. with strange people. And we need to learn how to navigate it. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for some more content. And we'll talk to you later. Peace.